You know, Eli, one of the most critical factors of my greatness is my humility. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And sometimes in the course of casual conversation, let's say, or not even sometimes people giving a presentation, people have a slip of the tongue. And when they do, and you kind of think about what they've said, it kind of creates a new paradigm for you. And I've heard some things over this past week that were sort of kind of slips of the tongue, but I want to go over some of them with you because they gave me a pause to go, okay. Let's start with that first one. One of the most critical factors of my greatness is my humility. You know, if you want to be a great leader, one of the things, one of the habits, one of the attributes, there you go, that's the word I'm looking for. One of the attributes that you must possess is humility. Because things are changing all of the time, and there's going to be new and different scenarios and technologies, and nobody can keep up with all of them. You know, so it's one of the things that's kind of important is that you have a humility as a leader. And one of the things that is really important about having humility as a leader is when you're in a position to need to correct someone that's on your team, you know, in pursuing your magnificent obsession for the team at work. If you come from a position of arrogance, people don't tend to listen so well. When you come from a position of humility, then it makes it a lot easier because people say, you know, we're working together to get the product correct. We're not sitting here and I'm not yelling and screaming like, let's say, a professional coach would, yelling and screaming at a player, what are you doing, what are you doing? You know, I mean, those are people that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. That's part of the game. One of the things that makes you an effective leader is your ability to communicate. And if you can communicate from a position of humble, then people are more likely to listen. Does that make sense? Okay, another thing I heard, and this was from the man in the White House, and it was just a slip of the tongue. I'm not, you know, making fun of what he actually said, but it gave me a pause for thought. One of the things he was talking about was somebody was asking him a question about the virus, and he was talking about, you know, well, somewhere down the road, we're all going to have a herd mentality. And of course, what he meant to say was herd immunity. But I got to thinking about those two individual phrases. And if you know, recognizing that, you know, the division of successful people versus unsuccessful people is 19 unsuccessful, 1 successful, you know, 5%, be a 5%er. One of the things that you have to possess is you need to have herd immunity from the herd mentality. Because if you think the same way that the 95% crowd thinks, guess what? You're a 95%er. You must have immunity from the herd. You must be independent. You must be willing to step away from the crowd and not be concerned when people critique you, you know, and say, oh, he does this, he does that, it's strange, it's not like everybody else does it. That's what separates the 5%er from the 95%er, isn't it? Is not doing things the way the crowd does. As a matter of fact, a pretty good rule of thumb is if the crowd is doing it, it's probably not a good idea for you to follow. Does that make sense? Okay. Another thing I heard somebody talking about was like your life depends on it. Now that can be taken kind of two ways. Number one, if you are, you know, consuming, let's say you're a drinker or a smoker and you're doing that to excess and your doctor says, hey, you've got to stop, your life depends upon it. All right, that's a clear meaning. That's a medical connotation. However, one of the things, people are so concerned with their everyday life. So the habits that you have, the posture that you assume, whether you decide you're going to be happy or sad first thing in the morning, whether you visualize objectives that are burning desires that you want to achieve, all of these things determine how your life is going to be lived. Are you someone that just goes from distraction to distraction to distraction? And people are so like that, and we are seeing the major example of that, and I'm not being political in any way, shape, or form, but the president is taking advantage of the distracting nature that people have. I mean, right now, the number one thing on, let's say, the plate of the nation is going to be, I don't want to catch this virus. All right? I mean, that's been the big news story in 2020. And we've had other big news stories. We've had the social unrest, the Black Lives Matter movement, certainly a big story. The failing economy, so many people going on unemployment. We've had stories like that. But recognizing that people tend to grasp distractions and walk away from them, walk towards them. What's the new distraction? Do you remember when we was having the big deal over, people taking down statues, all right? In terms of taking down statues versus, curtailing this virus, it would seem to me that one of them is significantly higher on the totem pole than another. We have these continuous distractions, and that's taking us away from the policies affecting, COVID-19 in this country. And that's an effective game plan for this particular president. I don't want people thinking about that. I want people thinking about this. And right now, it's happening again. We've just had the unfortunate passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and people are very focused on let's replace her with the Republicans. Let's replace her with a conservative judge. Let's get the court where we want it. We have this opportunity. Let's do it. Now, I'm not even going to go into the hypocrisy of things that were said 4 years ago when Obama wanted to place a judge in, and the Democrats are equally hypocritical. I mean, they were saying, "Oh, well, we need to do it." So both sides have changed, but the distraction is they're looking to get in a very short amount of time a justice. Hasn't even been. I mean, today is Tuesday, and they haven't even nominated a judge yet, and they're already talking about getting the person confirmed. I mean, how about some due diligence? How about looking into this person? How about seeing if it's going to be a good fit? That's kind of a critical point. Here's my point. When these politicians want to do something for their benefit, they're in a rush, they're ready to rock and roll. What about the package to help people that need money right now? They've been talking about it for 2 months. President Trump came out, "Oh, I got it, it's all settled, it's all done." Hello? Once again, we're going from distraction to distraction to distraction. And it can be an effective political strategy because that's the nature of the 95% crowd. Become a 5%er. Don't allow yourself to get distracted from the bigger issues. That's one of the things that's happening right now. And like I said, it's a sound political strategy. If you don't have a track record that you're proud of right now, does that make some sense as well? Another one I heard. We're so connected that we are more disconnected than ever. Boy, is that true or what? I mean, everybody's got their phone out, everyone's communicating this way. When there are people, that are right within their own orbit that are sitting next to them, I mean, not right now necessarily with the 6 feet of separation. But my point is, you could be so connected technologically that you're missing the human element. Recently, you know, there's an event that I go to every single year. Obviously, this year we couldn't go to it, so we got on a Zoom phone call, and it was good to see everybody that I normally see once a year. But it was not nearly the same as being there in person. I'm not telling you something you don't know, but what I am saying is, on a smaller, continuous scale, are we as a nation, as people, are we getting so hooked into these communication devices that we're losing the basics, we're losing the foundation of relationships, which is person-to-person relationships? Does that make sense? So these are things that I heard this week that just gave me pause for thought. You know, herd immunity versus herd mentality. You certainly want to have the herd immunity and not the herd mentality. Another one was, there was a gentleman that made a request to me to be a friend on Facebook. Now, let me be candid with you. I'm not really a Facebook type of guy, you know, but I recognize that it's, you know, if you want to communicate in today's times, you got to be a part of that. But I am, and it's very, very peripheral in my life. I mean, I might go to Facebook once a week, and I know there are people that go several times a day, you know, and this one particular guy what kept sending me, you know, friend request from somebody way back in high school. I mean, we're talking, you know, more years than I care to remember. And I was talking with somebody that's a very close friend of mine. Actually, I sent him an email, and I said, you know, I have a life-changing decision. Should I allow this person to be a friend with me on Facebook? You know, and I was, you know, joking, of course. And he said, oh, give the guy a break. And he said it, he texted me, you know, into his phone. And you know how when you say things in your phone, the phone spells it phonetically. All right, so instead of saying a break, B-R-E-A-K, it was break, B-R-A-K-E. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, that's kind of a major part of life, isn't it? Whether you give somebody a break, an opportunity, or you tell them to stop. You give them a break, B-R-A-K-E. Once again, made me go, And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's go out there, have some fun, let's listen carefully, and let's charge! I'm Eli's dad.